Hello. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching this after the live broadcast, please do not leave without hitting the like button. Share this with your friends and family, and subscribe to my channel so your friends and family and everyone else you know gets to know about my channel. And please, hit the notification bell so when I upload new videos, you get to hear about it. So today, I will be talking about the real, or rather, the Married to Medicine. We're going to talk about Married to Medicine season 9, episode 7, which was, well, we'll talk about how we rate this when we finish with the video. I don't know what you guys would have rated this, and sorry, I've just been running a bit late. I'm so busy. It's not funny. And anyway, so this afternoon in London, by the way, and so I would like us to talk about the Married to Medicine, um, and that is season 9, episode 7. So, if you haven't seen my previous video, please go back, check, and so you're able to follow with this video. So we see the ladies, as we said in the earlier uh, episode, they went to Las Vegas. And so this episode 7 starts with Paul, with Alea and one of the new friends of the show, Audrey, forgive me, talking about the issue between Contessa and Dr. Heavenly. And I do agree with Paul, what she said about both of them being wrong. And what she meant by that was exactly what I thought. The way, obviously, Contessa, as we see in previous episode, has been very upset with Dr. Heavenly because Dr. Heavenly had been talking about what she claims to be private to her on Dr. Heavenly's YouTube channel, which, according to YouTube streets and my own opinion, I don't think so because there's nothing about Contessa's marriage we don't know. She was the one that brought it to the show, and now it seems like Contessa somehow in her own head being puppeted allegedly by Dr. Scott, her husband, is trying to brainwash us, the public, to believe that what we saw last season isn't what we're saying. Anyway, that aside, so Paul was quite rightly saying that she thinks that what's stopping Heavenly and Contessa making up is ego. Both of them were wrong because Contessa had every right to be angry, but the way it looked like Heavenly was ganged up upon, which was my own opinion. I said it in my previous video, ganging up on anyone or um, taking people by surprise as a way of attack deflects and distracts from the real issue. Nobody ever likes to be ambushed, no matter what. And if to me, it's a nasty thing to do, and it never gets anything resolved. So anyway, we go ahead, and then she did say, and Heavenly was wrong in the sense that she was talking about it on her video. I think it's more like Paul, quite rightly annoyed that Heavenly talked. She claimed she was joking that Paul slept with married men, and she's apologized since then. But in my opinion, yes, Heavenly has bad mouth. Paul's one I don't agree, but I do accept that there is nothing heavenly in my books, in my opinion, um, says in her show that has not been shared by Contessa or most of this. And let's be quite honest, the Heavenly said they all talk behind each other. I mean, they call themselves friends. I say personally, who needs friends like this? Anyway, we go ahead. And so the show goes on, and Aliyah, breaks up the conversation and says, let's better go and eat. And so the ladies were it was organized for them to go to a nice restaurant. I'll look out for that restaurant when I'm in Las Vegas. If you're watching from Las Vegas here, I can't wait to go to Las Vegas again. I've been 3 or 4 times. Loved it, loved it. Everybody thinks if you go to Las Vegas, it's just about gambling. No, we've been going as family. Believe it or not, there's skiing there. There's so much. I mean, I love the luxury hotels. I mean, lots of luxury buffets, food. You don't even need. I mean, gosh, I love Las Vegas. And I'm looking for that. I hope this Christmas of 2022. We don't know with COVID up and down and everything. Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. So going back to Las Vegas, they obviously got a nice restaurant arranged for these ladies. I think I caught the name downtown or something. I'll look out for it when I'm in Las Vegas. My God, it looked a beautiful restaurant. Even Dr. Simone said that. And I said to myself, watching this, I hope the ladies do honor to this venue and not go shouting like, women without class or anything, because sometimes the way they behave is even hard to believe these women are doctors and well accomplished, if I may say so. So they show us a beautiful restaurant. They were all ooh ah ooh ah, and the restaurant chef, walks and introduces himself and tells them they're gonna have seafood on chill seafood, on display, which was lots of beautiful lobsters, shrimps, crabs. It was lovely. I'm not going. I mean, and then they got served beautiful wine, a classic wine, which they were all, at least they appreciated it anyway. So it was a lovely dinner. They first started off with oysters. They enjoyed it. Then the main um, dish came, and they had a steak, and even the chef, I wasn't quite sure about this. To me, it was lacking in class, telling them, oh, this beef and whatnot and truffles, it costs 600 dollars per this or per that. I'm not sure you're talking about price and money. Well, we do things differently in the UK. We are not really into shouting about money. I know it's an African thing, American thing. You have money, you want to shout about it. Here, in general, we are more toned down the way we do things in Europe. In fact, the wealthier you are, the calmer and more down to earth you are. You don't have to shout to anyone to prove how rich or not rich you are. Anyway, their dinner seemed lovely. They enjoyed it tremendously. And then they finished up and surprised the ladies with bundles of dollar notes so they could all go to um, the casino. So they were all excited and they all went to the casino. They each had their own bundle of money, which I thought, I'm not a gambler. I love Las Vegas. I love walking through all those big um, hotel lounges and all that. Some of them you have to go through the casino to get to where your rooms are. And, it's not my thing, but, to each their own. And so they were enjoying their gambling activity. So we see them after the gambling activity, and the next thing they do, it was went to a strip club. Again, strip clubs are not my cup of tea, but it seems like many of these women love it, love it, love it. And so they seem to enjoy it. And so when they came to introduce women, it happens that the guess who got picked out? Heavenly. And so Heavenly, in her usual, oh, I'm a church woman, I shouldn't be here. And they show all this men dancing around her, what have you. And Dr. Simone on her own side now said, oh, I'm gonna get Heavenly. Clearly Simone is still angry and feels like Heavenly got a pass. And before that night, I forgot to say, Contessa got up to apologize for her outbursts, which I thought were a little bit over the top, considering, but almost bordering on acting. I don't know. That's my opinion. And Tonya in her corner goes, oh, I bet Heavenly is never going to apologize. Heavenly never apologizes. I'm thinking, Tonya, you and Dr. Heavenly, you've always had your thing. If she apologizes, she's damned. If she doesn't apologize, she's damned. So anyway, um, they ended up having a great fun. And then Dr. Simone now videos about 4 minutes. heavenly dancing, or this men dancing around heavenly, it looked a little bit silly, to be honest. And then she made a remark, almost like half threat, half joke. Oh, what about if we put this up in our channel and share it with people, that kind of thing. So, in other words, clearly she's still upset that Heavenly, in their own mind, was had been discussing their affairs on her YouTube channel. And so they enjoyed themselves, left there. Then the camera now shows us the husbands, they were at home, and they're talking about, some of them saying, oh, it's so nice to have a bit of peace and quiet because their wives traveled. I'm not quite sure, And then what did they show again? Then they showed them, what's his name? Dr. Simone's husband. Sim. Oh, I can't remember his name. Is it Simon or I can't remember. But anyway, he organized a boxing match just as a fun thing for the men to go to. Clearly, it was quite clear they didn't hide it. In fact, Dr. Eugene did say it to the guy who was training them or teaching them jokingly, we are not young men. We may look young, we are not young, because clearly, although they're doctors, they're off to work on their faith. Many of them were really literally out of breath, because I suppose, like any sports, you're trying to box or move around. If you don't use the muscles, or you start using muscles you haven't used in a long time, it does feel different and you don't quite feel the same. So they were clearly out of breath, and they had fun. Then they showed us where Eugene and Dr. Kiran had a little fun, kind of boxing, and in his own words, got their feud out of the system. I hope so, but I doubt, especially with Tonya behind her husband. So we saw that. So the men kind of enjoyed, but tired out by the boxing, talked about, what they enjoyed about their wives being away. Oh, how they could leave their socks here, they could do this, they could do that, just a normal old talk. And so they talked about, have you heard from your wife? Have you heard from? And then the camera, flashing back, showing us Simone, showing Tonya, showing, the ladies what they were doing. And so they carried on. And so it was quite, enlightening. And then the camera goes back to show us, about the ladies, enjoying themselves still in Las Vegas. And then the morning after was in their luxury, lovely hotel rooms. That's one thing about Las Vegas I love. I love the luxury of the hotel rooms. I can't wait to go back with my family. And anyway, so they were all in their room ready for breakfast, and different ladies coming in their nice pajamas or lingerie or whatever. And then Dr. Jackie made a joke and tried to make sure that breakfast was delivered with bacon for Tonya, because Tonya seems to have this thing about bacon. She cannot start her morning without bacon. That's Tonya. All right. Anyway, so they all gathered, and even talking about the trip being one of the best trips they had, enjoying themselves. And then Contessa comes in. You could see Heavenly, when the camera caught her face, looking towards Contessa with a bit of tension. Is she going to come by and say hello or not? Kind of attitude. And so they were all very excited. They enjoyed it. Then apparently Heavenly had arranged for one of these, I don't know what they call them again. It always makes me cringe, because I feel like people, obviously, as someone who's been into hospital a few times, sometimes I feel like people, for the sake of beauty, take certain procedures a bit lightly. One of these vitamin things they give in vitro into the veins. So they were all like, "Oh, I need that." Aliyah made a joke. "Oh, this is one of the good things about having doctors as your friend, because you can have fun, drink, get tired, and then have medication revive you." I'm not quite sure how all this works out. Anyway, they all sat down, enjoyed that, and then after that, they all decided to go to take it another trip out. And so we see the ladies as they were, enjoying themselves. They seem to be all getting on well. They've all had their breakfast. They've all had fun, and so they sat down just to have a little talk. And so Heavenly decided to kind of open up a little bit because Paul quite rightly told Heavenly, obviously they were, at least Paul wasn't like the kind of person that talks behind you, told her that they were very upset with her, and told Heavenly that it's okay to let down your guard because you've always been, harsh on everybody here. None of us is happy with the way you talk about us on your YouTube channel. And so Heavenly decided to open up a little bit, talking as usual about her having a rough childhood, which don't I'm not taking anything away from it, but it seems like these days, anytime anyone is called out for doing wrong, everybody seems to have a soft story about what happened in their childhood. And don't we all have something from our childhood? But do we always have to use our childhood as an excuse to misbehave or mistreat other people, and rather than own it and just say you're sorry? Anyway, Heavenly talked about this. The camera flashes back, tells us and shows us a bit about the time, I think it was in last 2 seasons, she traveled to her hometown with Dr. Simone and Dr. Jackie and took them to her little bungalow where she grew up, and now how rough life was for her and her family. And I must say to Dr. Heavenly and anyone who's been through a rough childhood, good on her. Because look at her today. She's very successful. She didn't sit down there wallowing about what life had dealt me or what have you. She strived, she pushed, and went through dental school, owns her own dental practices with franchise, I believe. She runs a finance group business. She's into real estate. And we know recently she launched Heavenly Beauties or something like that, which seems to be a great success. So good on her. People must learn always, where possible, spin any negative in your life into positive. So anyway, Heavenly went on to talk about this and use the opportunity to apologize sincerely, and I quote her and don't quote, from deep in my soul, Contessa, I am very sorry. I never knew or realized that what I said in my YouTube channel hurt you. And I'm very sorry. I never meant to hurt you. And so I would hope, but I doubt, knowing Contessa, she is like a grudge holder. Anyway, she apologized. At least I don't know what else anyone could expect. And I really sincerely still don't know what they don't expect Heavenly to talk about in her YouTube channel. I mean, why don't you ladies go on and start your own YouTube channel to give yourself a platform to talk about what you want to contradict whatever you don't want someone to talk about. Anyway, so there you go. And it was nice. And then they all had this lovely get together, and it was like an aha moment. Yeah, it was all peaceful, and they seem to have left on a positive note from the Las Vegas. I mean, it was a very good advertisement for Las Vegas, I must say. Beautiful hotels, beautiful food, beautiful stuff to do there. And so we see from the snippet just before episode 7 ended, it looked like they gathered once again. There must have been some kind of bust up between Latonia and someone. Looked like there was a fight. I thought these ladies have stopped fighting. When we first started in season 1, I was flabbergasted when I saw the fight between Marai and Tonya. Now it looks like Tonya is back into fighting with God knows who. Anyway, and then we also see a little clip where it looks, I don't know whether Heavenly lost her mom or something, I don't know, but she seemed very sad. And then another clip where it looked like Alea and her husband in their multi-million dollar home seemed to have been robbed. And I couldn't believe it when one of the ladies mentioned, "Do you think it's Tonya?" Well, I know you can't trust anybody except God, but even to suggest that is the hatred between these two that much that Tonya could possibly arrange for Aliya's and Dr. Kiran's house to be robbed? I don't know, but we'll wait to see. So to be quite honest, I am looking forward to episode 8 of Married to Medicine, Bravo production, and after watching this, please hit me and comment. I'd like to know what you think. And if you have not watched it, look into the description. You see a link and follow it. And I hope you subscribe. So when I post my next video, you will get a notification bell. And on this note, I thank you so much for stopping by. My name is IJ. This is my channel, Tell IJ. And by the way, if you have a story to share, please by all means drop me a line. And I promise your story or your name will be kept anonymous. Until next time, thank you. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, and please join me next time on my video. Until then, bye bye and have a wonderful day. And it's beautiful here in London. And thank you again for joining me. Have a good day.